to their parents all the time. What I didn't realize was that Friday, September 27th, 1996, was the last day I would ever see my mom. That morning, she went in for plastic surgery. A tummy tuck, the narrowing of her nostrils, and a chin implant, and figured she'd be home the next day with her beautiful new body.
You know, Susan, people deal with death in all different ways. Have you considered a therapist?
I'm trying to avenge my mom's death here. I really think this could be it.
I'm a size 8 and I'm married up because he's Korean!
The gold standard for Asian hotness. Oh shit. Thank you for coming all the way from Rwanda. I love the Vitamix. I'm definitely gonna use it. You hung, what's happening? Man, you gone what? Hey, Ecuador. Oh, Ma? Is that you? Last year, I retraced the steps of my mom's last day following the same exact schedule. I woke up at 5 a.m. and drove to the plastic surgery clinic. Merry Christmas, you filthy animals! Auntie Susan doesn't believe in toys, so you get a savings bond, you get a savings bond, you get a savings bond. Okay. Want some? You had this the whole time? You can reach them at 1-800-DIP-YOU-EAT. That's 1-800. Pretty as you wish. And the #1 customers for plastic surgery amongst the Vietnamese? Nail salon workers. How come you only want to talk about sad thing? Why not happy thing? Just trying to find out the truth. The truth? You only focus on how she died. Why not how hard she worked? 6, 7 days a week? All the weekend? She do everything for you. Regular ticket, 1 try. Guaranteed ticket, all you can try. And she tried many times. For 1 month, we wait. Bà con ơi, vô đi! Bà con ơi, vô đi! Remember how you always used to invite us to go out and play and we always want to stay back and work? Well, come back and we're gonna play one last time. This Christmas, we can go to Reno and play that stupid game you like, Keno. And we can use all your winnings for the all-you-can-eat buffet for the family. Okay. You eat all my food, you make me cry, now you go home! Trời ơi! I grab our 3-foot-long Hello Kitty doll, I throw her on the couch, I beat the shit out of her saying, "This is what you do to me when you say I'm too fat!" We meet in 73, during the war. The first thing I ever gave your mom was crabs. Excuse me? In Vietnam, when you give women crab, she won't marry you. And it would be really great if you could make it more obvious when you're around, but don't do anything creepy like write on a steamy mirror or anything. Don't cover up the story. Don't cover up the story. Don't cover up the story. I'll have the chicken feet. No, too fatty. How about the shrimp dumpling steam? Good for you. You die from a tummy tuck and now you're telling me what I can and can't eat? I steal your mom. And I see everything. And I see when you're smoking the pot, you get all the high. Then you eat 1 bag potato chip and then you said you cannot wear bikini. And cut the avenge my mom stuff. Not cute. I don't like. When you were a little girl, what did you want to be when you grew up? What did you love about me? Does it make you feel sad when I hate my body too? When I light incense for you and ask you for help, does it really work? How would I know for sure? If I have a girl, how do I make her love her body? When can you hold me again? I come from a family of hustlers, spirit channelers, and survivors, and I'm not gonna let one negligent man control my destiny or my mother's story. I'm 140 pounds. She was 140 pounds. and so much more.
Okay, let's welcome Susan and Monica to the stage. We have to bring tissues.
Oh, yeah. Susan just unwrapped some
I was
plastic
like, I'm gonna
silverware
need some of these.
to come out. Hi, everybody. Susan, you're here. You're back.
I'm back.
You're back.
I'm back.
She's back.
For having me, guys.
She's back. And after a one-woman show that took the country by storm, 10-city nationwide tour, she's back with this. I have to tell y'all. Bring the tissues to this too, but you will be grateful for the tears. It's an extraordinary, extraordinary work by just one of the most extraordinary artists and hard workers I've ever met. And part of what we're here to talk about is creativity. And this session, creativity as an engine. You often have to push against resistance, and you have to find your fuel. Keep your fuel, build your fuel, one way or another. So Susan, let's start here. You've talked about how you're a storyteller who tells the stories that refuse to be forgotten. There was a lot of resistance with this story when you were telling it. And you've told it, and it continues to unfold, which we'll get to. The Susan before you've told this story and the Susan after. Oh
my God.
Compare the two. What's changed? Also, I'm just gonna move this a little more diagonally. There we go. Just a touch.
Is my right side better or something?
No, I just want to like not be.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, Monica, you've been with me since the beginning.
That's right.
And it was 2018, and frankly, I was disappointed with the adult I had become. I was a management consultant. I had a 401k. I was giving money to my dad every month because he owned a nail salon. He didn't have a retirement fund. And I was doing the thing I was supposed to do. And yet I hated every day of my life. I didn't feel seen at work. I felt like I was only using like an eighth of my brain. And I was getting a lot of pressure from my aunts and dad to have kids. And I thought, how do I become a mother if I never knew my own? And concurrently, on a personal level, very personal level, I felt like I was just a coward in life. You know, I just knew that if I had a kid, I'd be like, do what you want in life. But I did it myself. Years prior, I had started stand-up comedy. I was in my orbit. Within 6 months, I was headlining at the Purple Onion. I was at Caroline's on Broadway, and then I get heckled at this charity fundraiser. And I go, who was I kidding anyways to think I was good at something like that? I'm not funny. And I walk away from the stage, and I'm upset because I can't, with integrity, tell my future child, do what you want, because I didn't deal with my shadow work, my demons, and I felt so small, so trapped, and so not seen by my own family, right? Because we had this forbidden story we were never allowed to talk about. So how could I have closure? How could I move forward? They always said, you're living in the past, and I'm like, no, we haven't reconciled the past. So how do we live in the present? How do I think about my future? I say in my book, every moment of my life goes through the sieve of my mother's death. Why am I in a dysfunctional relationship way too long, right? What am I craving? What am I trying to prove? Why am I always trying to achieve? Like, what is that really about? And I said, no more of this. I want to break free from this. And so I said with my husband, let's set a container. Like, let me just get the wiggles out, like with this performance stuff. Let me just figure out what this calling is about. And then I'll pull out my IUD, And that was the deal we made. That was the deal we made. And little did I know that I would take this solo performance class, and on the first day of class, he'd be like, tell a 5-minute story. And I was like, okay. I wanted to avenge my mother's death. So I went to look for her killer. And they were like, oh my God, what? And I was like, oh, you've never done that? And it puts me on this crazy journey. Monica goes to the first iteration of my show.
Pocket theater.
And I thought, that's it, I'm done, And now I'm a mom. And then I was like, oh shit, this is just the beginning. And I knew that there was more I needed to know. And so I enlisted the help of spirit channelers. I tracked down the plastic surgeon and his kids. I went back to Vietnam several times. I read thousands of pages of depositions, and all the learning I kept putting into the show, and that fifth one, 140 pounds. That's when I was like, I did the thing. It was more than I could have imagined. And then I took out my IUD.
Wow.
And that's how babies are born.
And that's how babies are made. Exactly. Thank you. You came through with that. I came through. So,
and now I have a 4.5-year-old named Art.
Right.
I made
Oh my
art.
gosh.
You get it?
Made art. Huh? So there's a liberation that you got to with releasing that story. So let's go back a bit to the Susan of yore. The as yet unfulfilled, perhaps, artist Susan, where the artist was hidden inside. You did what many artists don't. You went to business school. You founded a chocolate company with your sister. Can you put up the photo and then tell us what the heck is going on and what this says about emerging artist Susan?
Sure, yeah. So I started a chocolate company with my sister when we were in high school. It's called Sokala. It means chocolate in Vietnamese. And so after I graduate undergrad, she's like begging me to come back from Vietnam where I was working with cacao farmers. She's like, I want you to help me with my dream. And I was like, okay. And so we have all these Vietnamese flavors in our chocolates. And one is the sriracha chili truffle. And she's like, we got to get the word out about it. I'm like, yeah, we do. I'll just make a 3-part telenovela series called For the Love of Chocolate, where I'm a giant chocolate bar and I fall in love with sriracha cha and we have an affair. And then that's how the chocolates are born. And she's like, okay. And I was like, okay. And then I did it. But I gotta tell you, even at this point, I never called myself an artist. I never called myself a performer. It just like clicked for me. I was like, this makes total sense. Like, this is how we're gonna market it. But do you see what I'm saying? It's like I was always naturally creative. It gave me a purpose. Like I wanted to help promote this flavor, but also like I'm a giant chocolate bar.
Yeah, why not? Why not just have fun with it? And I think you told me that even in high school or something, you were doing all the announcements every single day. Like there was something clearly of Susan.
I was on the PA every day. I led all the high school rallies. I was in a giant harness and they would like lift me up in the gym and throw footballs at me for homecoming. But I was like, this is to get an A in student government. You know, it wasn't like I'm supposed to be on stage. Right. Because as a daughter of Vietnamese refugees, that's asking for too much attention. You're making it about you. You're so selfish. Like it's so like, be small. Yeah. That's the way you must exist. And so I did all these things in secret. And anytime my family would come and see parts of it, I would shudder. I would just like flip out. I like on stage because I was not allowed to be this Susan.
Mm-hmm. How in the world did you push against that resistance? I mean, a story that people don't want you to tell, and a set of expectations that are pretty strong. Because it does seem like that's been something pretty ongoing. How did you do that?
Growing up in a family, we take our position and we obey, right? You do what is expected of you. And my entire life, I was obedient, I was compliant, I was always doing what was expected of me. And you know what I got? Not the approval, right? Love always felt just so out of reach. It was so conditional. And I did that for decades. And I felt small. And I felt like, am I going crazy? Like, why doesn't anyone want to talk about the most important person in our lives, the pillar who held everything together? Because clearly we're not held up anymore. And I got to a point where I was like, F following the rules anymore, because it didn't ever get me that much anyways. Mm-hmm. And so when I'm on the brink of motherhood, I thought, I need to follow my own rules, because if not, I feel so constrained. I feel like this is not serving me. I need to break free from this. And then I just started doing my own thing. I said, yes, my family is my tribe. Yes, I will love them. But I'm not going to participate in that way anymore. I'm going to go find my own tribe. I'm going to find what's life-giving to me, because this feels so life-taking. And I'm going to still take it from them, but only on holidays.
Do you remember a moment where that bit of, if defiance isn't a strong enough word, or if defiance is the wrong word, was it on the way to the book? Was it on the way to the show? Was there a moment where you thought, you know what, I'm just going all in and we just got to do it. We're just going to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, my siblings have this 5-day sleepover called Extreme Indulgence, where we eat and drink a lot. And
every year, right?
Every year, and every couple and their sibling and their partner will make the best meal possible. We vote, and the winner gets their name on the trophy. We're competitive.
Great.
And I remember after the first iteration of my show, I recorded it and I brought it back and I said, hey guys, do you want to watch what I'm doing? And 2 siblings said hard no. 1 sibling saw it and he was like, whoa, that's like an emotional roller coaster. And I was like, and? And then he walked upstairs to go watch football. Mm-hmm. And I had bought this green book called Family Christmas from Goodwill, okay? It was all blank, and I'm like the family historian, always writing all these memories, and I always want people to write in, and no one would write in it. And that night, I just like threw it on the floor, and I said, you know what? I'm done, guys. I'm just done. I go back into my room, I work on my show. I'm so upset, and but I'm so exhausted. And that morning, the next morning, my brother's making a soup with leftovers, and he goes, you know what? I gotta tell you, I pulled the plug on Ma. And it was something I never knew. She was in a coma for 5 days. I didn't know my brother did that. And I said, what? You were just 19. What are you talking about? And then he starts to unfold his story to me. And so it was an interesting point because I finally was like, I gave up. I relinquished control of trying to get stories out of them, trying to remember Ma. I was grasping for so long. I thought they were the ones that held everything for my healing. If only they could give it to me. And then when I finally let it go,
it came.
They did a turn.
Yeah, amazing.
And then they started giving me information. My sister and my brother, they watched the 140 pounds and afterwards the lights go dark and my sister leans over and she was like, to my brother King, she was like, did you really pull the plug? That's how much we didn't talk about the past. And so I started to realize when I stopped pointing the finger at them saying, you are withholding so much from me, from my own healing, when I was able to go and just look at myself and go, well, what does Susan really need? What does Susan need to do for Susan? There was a release. So half my siblings, 2 of the siblings now are on board. They come to my book talks and they talk about me writing the book, but they still don't talk about their feelings around our mother, right? But at least they're showing up. And that's a step, right? But it was really when I finally let go of making it about them and victimizing me, when I really tried to listen what I needed to do, which was put on the show, write the book, have the baby. When I did that for me, irregardless of what they expected of me and what they're gonna judge me with, I bloomed.
That's amazing. So Jason, when he was introducing the conference this morning, talked about audacity, that when you do something really audacious creatively, it can be isolating. And I thought of you.
Thanks.
I thought of you because you had to tell the story. And it was isolating. You've just told us how it ended up not being isolated, it ended up being healing and unifying. Let's switch over to the creative aspect of this, because you didn't study theater.
Nope.
You didn't study formal writing to get this work of art out. And you're working on some other things in fields and such where you didn't go and collect the training and the credentials. You just went. So tell us a little bit about that. Tell us about the media you're in and what made you think you could be so audacious to just jump headfirst into so many of these things?
You know, sometimes I didn't really feel like I had a choice. Like I felt like I couldn't move forward without doing these things. But I do want to tell you that when I went to undergrad at Harvard, and I remember as a freshman, I was like, oh, you know, it'd be so cool to go into drama or like try out for a show. And I started meeting classmates who were SAG guild members, like Screen Actors Guild members, like they were already working actors. And I thought, who am I kidding? Like, it's too late. I'm too late. I should have done the middle school musicals, but I was on the student government track. Like, damn, I'm too late, you know? And it was this sadness that I had because I felt like I missed the boat on it. Even though I had this craving, like this yearning to be on stage. But then as I got older, I mean, really, like, motherhood is just like a slap in the face of like all the baggage you never dealt with, all that trauma. Guess what? It's here and it's not going away, you know? And it's like, I had to deal with that. The stakes were raised for me, right? Like, it was actually like a non-choice. It wasn't like, you know what? I just want to see if I can do it. Like, it was more like I was like totally terrified of motherhood. And if I didn't do this, I would be a terrible tiger mom. I would project upon my kid and be like, we're not poor anymore. Like, you can go to drama camp. Like, why don't you have the lead? Right? Like, I knew I would do that because I wanted it for me, you know, and I would be resentful that he grew up in a different situation than me. And so there was this like, this thing around like integrity of like not wanting to have to pay for my kid's future therapy. You know what I mean? Like, I was just like, I don't want to do that. Like, I want to be the best mom I could be because I lost my mom so young. And so I want to show up for my kid in a way that is what my inner child always wanted.
Yeah. So it sounds like your purpose is your engine and your purpose is really strong. And let's talk about stakes because you mentioned this. You've told me stories about the different stages of your creative journey and the very hard things that she has had to do. And each one came with a kind of story that you told yourself about those stakes. And I think the first one was 2012.
Yeah.
Tell us that.
Yeah, so I've always wanted to try stand-up comedy. And it was 2011, and I was sitting there going like, if the Mayans are right and we're all gonna die, what am I gonna regret most in life? You know? And so I was like, I guess I only got a year until the end of like either human consciousness as we know it, or like maybe like there is just gonna be another asteroid and we'll be like those dinos that got stuck with our pants down, you know? Like we're just like, oh darn, like I should have like listened to the prophecy, you know? And so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go to one open mic at the Brainwash, which in San Francisco is a laundromat, cafe, comedy club. And so I tell my neighbor, I tell my girlfriend, they're there. I get a 5-minute set. I'm so excited. I go on stage, you know, grad students are just like folding their underwear. And I was like, my period smells like fish sauce. You know, like that was my line. And they're like, okay. And I was like, cause I'm Vietnamese, get it up. But it was just like, I needed a container of time.
Yeah.
I am such a procrastinator. I can just be floating in air and just like ruminating to the point of paralysis. Like, oh, like, is it gonna be good? I don't know. But if I knew it was gonna be the end of the world, I'll sign up for the slot.
Right.
And that propelled me on this journey because I do feel in my orbit on stage. Like, I didn't know what this was, but it started feeding this hunger that was so starved, right? That wanted that nourishment. And then I just kept going. I think I'm always terrified of failure, for sure. I am an overachiever. I had gotten so much worthiness from getting approval where someone's like, got you doing good, or like, good job, or like, here's an award. I'm like, oh my God, a piece of paper with a gold foil? Like, it would turn me on. But it was always so fleeting because it was never enough, right? But yeah, I do, you know, and it's funny, I loved your insight where I needed to create stories to justify things, because you would have thought, oh, of course you're a storyteller. I never even felt that way until like, maybe like last year, you know?
Really? Wait,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Okay,
you
that
know?
shocks me.
Oh my
Why?
God.
Why was that not an identity before?
Oh my, like to be an artist with a capital A or creative or all these things, like I'm like, you gotta be like really good, you know? Like I think that there has still been that grasping of like, when am I legitimate? You know, like if it's not USA Today bestsellers, it's New York Times bestsellers, you know, like have I been longlisted? Oh, I'm shortlisted, you know, like it's still this craving of validate me, recognize me, I'm enough. And I'm just sitting here going like, God, this is exhausting.
Yeah.
But it is the stories. It is the stories I create for myself when there is that why, when the stakes are raised. Like, I can't become a mother until I know her, so I'm gonna like track down the plastic surgeon's killer, his kids,
Yep. That's all internal. That's not external praise.
Yeah,
That's
like-
not the kind of,
Yeah, you
you're
also
always
shouldn't be doing
chasing it.
that, like it's creepy, like I'm a stalker.
Fair.
But like I do get tunnel vision and I get really focused, which I've struggled a lot with in my life to focus. And I'm always like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I? But when that story bubbles up, it's blinder time, baby. You know what I mean? Like, and then I go
Yeah.
and I go until I don't even know what's gonna happen next. Like, after 140 pounds came out, I was like, oh man, I'd really love to like do a national tour, but what if nobody comes? What if I lose money on it? Oh my God, how is it? What if everything's not sold out? Like I was just like, and then it's like, I found out I'm pregnant and I was like, oh my God, I have a constraint.
Now there's
Second
the big one.
trimester. I am gonna feel my best during my second trimester, so now I will sign contracts for venues. Like it all of a sudden became this thing where I could have the courage to do it because I was scared. What if I have postpartum anxiety? What if I don't have enough momentum to my arts career and it falls apart? What if my child is born March 2020 and arts and culture is obliterated, right? And it was like there when all of a sudden I realized there is a constraint, there is a time, and if not, like my career is gonna be over. I do the thing. Who's sitting in the New York premiere audience but my future literary agent?
Right. Who comes up to you, says, oh my gosh, that was amazing. And before you know it, a door is open and you walk through. I think it was Jason who shared this phrase to me recently. Do you need a crucible to make a diamond? I think there's this sense that artists do find fuel, creatives find fuel from pressure. And you're telling us a story about kind of the difference between maybe the bad pressure that is never satisfied and the pressure that feels yours, that you've created. You also earlier told us almost the opposite tip, which was let go. Sometimes if you chase too hard, you can really tire yourself out. But now I guess my question is about, you did the one-woman show. Now there's a book, but you're not done.
No.
So tell us why you know you're not done and what's coming up next and how that even, you're still iterating on this story. You're still iterating on something. What is it?
Yeah. 7 years ago, when I was just sitting here being like, God, I hate my life. Like, I thought I'd be a cooler adult. One night, I got really high. And I took out a blank piece of paper and I said, if this is my life, what do I want it to be? And I said, I know. I'm gonna have a play, and I'm gonna have a book, and I'm gonna have a podcast, and I'm gonna be in film and TV, and I'm gonna be in a museum exhibit. I did the play. I have a podcast called Model Minority Moms. I have the book. I'm in a museum exhibit at the Wing Luke Museum. And now I'm really focused on film and TV. I think about like, I wish I would just be an author, or I wish I was just a theater maker, and then I wouldn't have to always do this like ramp up learning curve because it's actually really painful and terrifying. But there's a part of me that finds it exciting.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I don't know. Like, but then it feels like I'm alive. Like the feeling of aliveness is in me. But also, I'm a multi-hyphenate storyteller. I think we're all stuck in silos. People love TV. I want to be on TV. Yeah. And so right now, I am on Look, Listen, and Learn. I'm Miss Susan on local Seattle television because I want my kid to see BIPOC people who are the stars. Because right now in kids television, only 7% are BIPOC stars. I want him to know that he can be the star.
And that's a new story.
That's a new story.
That's a new bit of pressure. If he doesn't have enough models of representation, then, so Susan's got to get on.
Yeah.
Get on the children's TV shows.
Yeah, you're gonna be the star. So like, I'm just like messing around with it.
Yeah.
And then I hope to have my own kids television show. How's that gonna happen? I don't know. But right now I'm just working reps of like, what is it like to just, be on stage, work with a kid and be on camera, like keep getting takes. Like, And it's because I just put it out there to the universe and started talking to so many people about it.
Yeah.
And then an email comes, you know what I mean? Like, it's like beautiful and magical. I'm working with my agent to sell the rights of the book and be creatively attached to turning Manicurist's daughter into a TV series. I mean, it's slow moving, right? And like the market right now, they don't want original content. They want franchise like Barbie, Polly Pocket, Legos, you know? And it's like, so right now for a creative right now, it's tough to break into TV and film. And I know a couple people here and there, and I've already gotten lots of like, that's a passion project. Yeah. Like, you can't star in it yourself. And I was like, but I think if I audition to be Susan, like, I'd do a good job, you know, like, or they'd be like, no, Susan wouldn't do that, you know? And it's like, I think I can. I think you could. But am I trained in it? I'm not. Yeah. But like, do I crave it? Yes. Like, I feel this like magnetic pull. Like, I want to be a showrunner. I want to be like Issa Rae. Like, I feel it. I feel like this umbilical cord that's like, come on, baby. And I'm like, but I'm scared. You know, like, I still.
But your fear is part of what fuels you.
Yes.
Somehow. So, before we show a video that is fun, I want to bring it back to your parents, because you were just telling us that, you know, you have a purpose, and that purpose is so strong that it doesn't matter that you haven't taken some like fancy writing school class, and it doesn't matter that you haven't done fancy like training on theater or even television or whatever. You just go. And I'm remembering a story about your mother. When they first came over from Vietnam, she went to beauty school. And so she was gonna cut hair, right? But I think it was during or after she realized she learned the money is in nails. So she started a nail salon, and the rest is history. Your dad as well. Your dad started a
gardening service.
Service, and went and just took some other gardening services poster, and put his own phone number.
Yeah, he got the flyers from these other Mexicans, and then he goes, "Oh, I'll just put my home phone number on it and call it Tom's Gardening Service because I just watched Top Gun and I think Tom Cruise is cool." And then he made like 15,000 flyers.
And he built that business overnight, it seemed. So fast, doubled 1 year to the next. They would sit and watch like a lot of Mexican folks like do the garden, like learn, take notes, okay, then go do it.
Yeah.
Practice on their, The reason I'm saying all this is because it's just entrepreneurship, isn't it? It's just following a purpose, finding where the things are, opening the doors, and that sure feels like a legacy.
Yeah, I mean, my mom, I remember the one piece of advice I got from my mom. I was like, Mom, what's the purpose of life? And she was like, you have one head, one heart, and two hands. Do something with your life. You know what I mean? She didn't say like, I'm a Vietnamese refugee woman who has come over with nothing and like the odds are against us and I'm operating and not my native language. She's like, no. She was just like, do something with your life. We're here now, right? 5 failed attempts to get her on the 6th time.
Oh my
and
gosh.
the only way we had money to come over was she started an underground lottery operation in Vietnam, won it 3 times because she had dreams with animals, or she would like, she's like, oh, that lady seems confident. I'll take those numbers and play it somewhere else. Like, she was a risk taker, and she beat the odds so many times just to get it to America. And like, I watched Legally Blonde and get inspired and apply to Harvard. You know what I mean? Like the odds. And so it's kind of like the odds to get a book deal by a top 5 publisher, the odds to actually like make money off a 10 city tour. Like sometimes I find out later how bad the odds really are. Like now I talk to authors and they're like, God, I've gotten 100 rejections just to get a lit agent, you know, and I'm sitting there going like, ooh, it's that hard? God, I can't believe I got into this. Like, I always find out after the fact how hard it is. And I'm like, whew, I dodged a bullet because I was naive. And so I'm going into film and TV because I'm naive.
Naive, you don't know, you haven't learned how hard it is, so you're just gonna go.
Yeah, I mean, I hear whispers of it, but like, I'm also kind of like,
do it.
I don't know when I'm gonna die in life. My mom died when she was 38 with 4 kids. I'm 39 now. I want to live like I'm mortal because I am going to die. So like, perk up, baby. Like, live like you're gonna die.
There it is. Now the video. Do you want to give us a little intro?
Yeah, so one other project I'm working on is a cooking docuseries. And basically the premise is I'm ashamed that I don't know how to make Vietnamese food. And in the book, I speak at length about Vietnamese dishes.
Your mouth will water like you have no idea.
Because food is love. Like it's the way that my elders expressed it. They cared about me, but also they would force feed me, and then they'd say I was too fat, and then it was very complicated because I'm like, so should I eat right now? That was how they communicated love. And for me, it's heartbreak that I don't know how to make my favorite childhood dishes. And if I want my son to eat Vietnamese food, we have to like go to a restaurant. And so I was thinking, I was like, God, I want to reclaim my mother tongue. I want to be able to make these dishes for him, but really for me. And so I said, well, what if I created a series where I enlist the help of famous Vietnamese chefs from around the country. They teach me how to make these dishes, and I'll call it Mother Tongue.
Are you ready?
You know, this is really out of my comfort zone.
Do you like slicing?
No, but I will do it. I should be vegan.
Do it.
I've never done this before.
You've never done bun can?
And today, we are making bun can, one of the most traditional, comforting Vietnamese soups there is. This is what I grew up with my grandmas, but I've never actually done it before. That's her.
Cut in half. Do you like using a mandolin?
I'm so scared.
Easy.
Easy.
You know how you get comfortable and going faster and faster? You go like
No.
this.
Oh, wait, are you left-handed?
I am. Oh my God, change the. I forgot to tell you.
I'm the most scared about seasoning.
Wow.
You've just popped my MSG cherry, so. Wow. I'm just gonna use my hands.
Yes.
Okay. Calm down.
Let's give it another minute.
What? And why did you say that? Understand? Fucking Vietnamese auntie. Like I don't know what am I looking for? That's the essence of what I want to know. Like I want to know how you know it's done. Like.
And then you taste it and see if you like it.
I taste it? It's good.
So good.
Look at that color.
Oh yes.
I didn't even know how much I didn't know. You are right. Like it makes me feel excited that it is maybe doable. Thanks for letting me just start this journey about how to develop my mother tongue because I was really scared of losing it. So thank you.
Of course, anytime, Susan.
Give me another spoon. Give me a spoon. Give me a spoon.
Get a spoon.
Yay! I mean, so with that, it was just like I had this, like I was like, I gotta do this, and I started telling everybody about it. One person's like, "Oh, talk to my producer friend." I'm like, "Okay." And then we're just like in the early stages. We're just making a deck right now. I went to my friend Envy Fam's house. We shot this sizzle reel. And that's all we have right now, you know? Like we don't have any, like we're looking for brand sponsors. We're looking for funding to just like create it. But it was just like, the more I was just like, I have the courage to say what I really want. I find collaborators, you know, there's like some determination involved. And then like, hopefully there's a date we start fundraising and then that like makes me focus, right? But again, don't know what I'm doing, but I must do it.
So on that note, Susan has one more thing for you all. And it's got to do with what you may not be saying or what you may not be recognizing.
Yeah.
You want to say a little bit?
Thanks.
Yeah.
So I think for me, if you take one thing away from my entire arc and the entire journey is that there's some power when we face our own shame. And for me, on the last day of when my mother was alive, I had this terrible meeting with my mother, and we met up in the kitchen, and she told me I couldn't do volleyball tryouts, and I was so upset with her, and I told her I hated her. And that was the last thing I've ever said to my mother. And because my family has never spoken about her ever again, I held on to this secret for nearly 3 decades until I named that shame. I put it in the show. I put it in the book. That's the first time my siblings ever even knew about it, is they saw it in the show and they were like, what? And I was like, yeah, because we never got to talk about it. And I want you all to know that I found this immense liberation when I could face my shame, when I could face my unspoken. I felt free. Something inside of me, this trauma that's been lodged in my body, was free. And so that's my gift that I want to offer to you, is that I've got these reflection cards. On one side it says, when we feel, we heal. And we can talk until the cows come home about cerebral stuff, but when you feel things in your body, when you have that visceral feeling, something is at stake and something is happening and something is simmering for magic. And so I want you, on the other side, it says, write the unspoken. What is it that is unspoken for you? What is shameful for you? What have you hidden away for so long that needs to be free, that can move through your body and make way from new magic in your life? When you walk out these doors to go to lunch, my wonderful friend Jenny, will be handing out these cards. And I invite you during this Dent to find 5 minutes to write your unspoken and see what magic will happen. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Susan Lieu.